perspective and to understand the genesis of all that it is today. And in fact, as a leader of a small non-governmental organization, the staff is entirely scientists that are specialized in wildlife biology and conservation biology. We didn't enter into this fray with all due knowledge about, the policy milieu, so to speak, and in fact have been on a learning curve about the value of the EBR instrument over time and the novelty of it. And heading in a national organization, it's quite clear to me, where we work in other parts of Canada and the world, actually, because we are affiliated with an international organization. It is absolutely one of a kind, and it has extraordinary opportunities that we're learning about every day. The perspective that I want to bring in is the critical importance of some independent science review. And policy instruments and policies and legislation that are created are often desired by the public. I mean, the public does desire science-based policies. It's often reiterated the same way as health policy should be based on evidence, so should environmental policies, and that is stated and assumed by many. And in fact, if you look at the government websites, both federal and provincial, all over the place, there are statements on the home pages that policies are based on science. And what does that mean? Well, when you create a policy within, I mean, certainly all ministries are housed with fantastic scientists. The public doesn't have any awareness about the sausage making that goes on within those ministries and how science is actually brought to bear on the formulation of those policies. And in fact, you do hear a lot about the balancing that has taken place, and that's the product that emerges, something that's balanced. And you're not clear what has been balanced, how, or what the trade-offs are to that balancing. And so I think the EBR is an extraordinary opportunity. I mean, it's not equivalent to the rigorous peer review process that does occur in other ways. But it does offer an opportunity for independent science review, for understanding and matching what the outcome is, or the proposed outcome of the policy, and look at that against what the goals of it is. Are you actually doing, or what is it what you're going to achieve? Are you going to be able to do what you're going to achieve? Are you going to be able to achieve what the goals of the policy are purported to be? And if not, what are the trade-offs? And that's not in the public conversation, because of course you don't hear too many honest we did good enough, and this is what's going to fall by the wayside. I hope you guys are all okay with that. You don't hear that, but indeed that's what has to happen in public dialogue, and certainly an independent review where you have people, scientists that are skilled enough to be able to see these things, but also are able to do this in an unfettered way that's not worried about socioeconomic consequences. And that's not to say that the policy doesn't need to be balanced at the end. It's just that it needs to be transparent what the trade-offs are when that balancing act does occur. Our organization is relatively new on the block in the sense of being really engaged in the EBR, and we have been doing it more and more every year. We do it judiciously but deeply and passionately when we do it. So our interventions are quite extensive and detailed, and we do hear that these are well looked at on the inside. We have to be very careful about what we have time and energy to be able to look at. And two acts that we spend a lot of time on are the Endangered Species Act and the Far North Act, and these are two pieces of legislation that have enormously high ambitions associated with them, and the devil is in the details, and so it's all about implementation. And a lot of campaigns do measure success by the legislation, but that's not where success is. Success is all about the dogged sort of day-to-day aspects of implementation, how the policy is going to be formulated, what it's going to look like on the ground, and all that. And so that's sort of the stuff that we're spending a lot of time on, and there is a reason why you have few remarks on that, because it's a complicated process to do so. The last two words that I want to say while I have these minutes is that the other aspects of EBR that we profit from immensely as an organization is the annual reports. So think about it. I mean, every one of us is in a silo of some sort. All the ministries that we interact are in a silo of some sort. But the Environmental Commissioner's Office, they are doing everything on environment, and And they're bringing it together in a report. No, they don't deal with everything every year, but the connections they make are extraordinary. And those reports are essential for understanding that a lot of the underlying issues that we face in our worlds that are associated with one thing or another are exact same damn things that are happening over in a completely, over recycling, for heaven's sakes. But it's very, very important to understand those systemic issues that repeat themselves over and over again. Because that's about the functioning of the environment that we really can't treat in silos. So I think the annual reports are invaluable and becoming better and better and sharper for that. And the connections that are made. I was really impressed with the last one in particular. But the last comment is just to say that because these guys work on everything, they are the policy wonks above all policy wonks. So they know how legislation works, and it's a big piece of education. As a scientist, this is not what I went to graduate school to do, is to learn the ins and outs of policy. And we are in there, our bread and butter is with the muddy boots in the field, but we are increasingly spending time on, how to translate the science into effective policy, and then how to understand and monitor policy once it's being implemented. And the understanding that the Environmental Commissioner's Office brings to the various nuances of these policies is invaluable for people like us who are on a steep learning curve even today. Thank you.